I'm presently standing in front of Chet Academy Middle School, which was formerly R.B. Hudson High, which I attended from the 7th through 12th grade. This school is a very, very historic site because this basically is where all of my molding, all of my shaping took place here at this school right here. We had excellent teachers. We really had a foundation that we would build up on. But something unique happened in the year 1963. That's when we were introduced to social changes, and there's a man by the name of Bernard Lafayette had contacted some of my former classmates about student nonviolent, SNC Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. So we went down and they talked about social changes, the right to vote and freedom. Something that was really that we knew very little about. Because as far as students are concerned, we were living in a society that was a very segregated society. And so they wanted to do some social changes, something that we wasn't familiar with. And so from the very beginning, I did not buy into the program. So I was very slowly getting indoctrinated. So finally I went with my classmates to Tabernacle Baptist Church. And from there we met, encountered with Bernard Lafayette. And I've encountered with Bernard Lafayette. He's a guy 22 years of age, full of fire. I mean, he was full of fire. And so he shared some things with us. He talked to us about social changes, and he talked to us about things that we weren't even aware of. We were living in a society that was segregated, so we had not seen anything different. We didn't know anything different. And so he was sharing with us that about the right to vote and various things that we were not enjoying all the total freedom. He talked about a Selma High School, which was a Parish High School with all white at the time, and he talked about R.B. Hudson High. Two schools in the city of Selma'S, but yet they were segregated schools. And so he talked about the right to vote. If you get the right to vote, there's a lot of social changes that could be made. And so he also said, well, I can do some classes on the right to vote. He took applications and things. We teachers go in the neighborhoods and just we want to teach the right people the right to vote. He said voting is power. We were underage students. We didn't know about the right to vote. But one thing that we did know, that we were a student that had very little to build on, but yet we were going to build on what we had. So we were being encouraged, and so we thought, okay. I said, okay, I'll come back. So I began to keep back and forth, because I lived on the other side of town, probably 2 miles on East Selma, where I lived. So it was quite a walk for me back and forth every day. So I was unable to attend all of the meetings. So therefore, I could not be a leader. So therefore, I learned to be a follower. Everybody can't lead, somebody had to follow. So my classmate, Charles Burner, my other classmate, Terry Shaw, my other mother was Malden, and there were others who took on the leadership role. And there were females that also participated. There were Betty Fight, there was Gloria Harvey, there was also another name, Evelyn Mann. So these people they got involved deeply. And so from that point on, I started leaving here, going in the basement, and start working with them. They were teaching about nonviolence. The key to the whole success was nonviolence. Something that we were totally did not understand. What in the world is nonviolence? What it means someone slapped you on the right cheek and you turned the left cheek? What is this all about? Hey, we weren't violent kids, but when time come to scrap, we knew how to scrap. And so therefore it was kind of tough to buy this program. And they said, well, now, if you are not nonviolent, this is not for you. You're going to have to, whatever happens, you never raise your hand, you never hit. He said, well, I'm going to teach you how to get away from your blows. Once you are being hit and struck, there's a certain way you fall, that's to the ground, a certain way you hit your head. It's just certain things that you do, we're going to teach you how to do that. And so we went through all of these drills and found I convinced myself that I would take on a nonviolent role. But I want to share. There were many students who did not take on the nonviolent role. Say, hey, if you hit, I'm hitting back. So if you were going to do that, you could not have been a part of this movement. This movement was strictly about order. It was about being well disciplined. It was about following direction. and being motivated for the change. And so from that point on, then later that year, Bernard Lafayette began to ask around the community, place to live. He needed a place to live. And so during the 60s, especially 63, this black belt city, Selma, Alabama, there were a lot of blacks with influential, and they did not want to risk their chances. So Bernard Lafayette had a hard time finding a place to live. So Margaret, one of our teachers at the same school I'm standing before, that she gave Lafayette and his wife, Nicolia, a place to live. Because other people were fearful. They were very, very fearful. Say, if we let him live in our household, it can be burned down by the Ku Klux Klan. There were a lot of backlash that could take place. Because they knew about the white citizen council, some of his kids. We didn't know about the white citizen council. We didn't understand that being black meant that if you stepped out of line, that you could be very well put back in line, lose your job, being shut off, even possibly being killed, or your family being something happened. So they worried about the fear. But Mrs. Margaret Moore took on the challenge with Bernard Lafayette. And then another important step took place. Then he wanted a place to have the very first mass meeting. And oh my goodness, did it not bring fear to the little black belt town when they talked about a mass meeting held at the Tabernacle Baptist Church? That deacon board got ferocious because of fear. And not understanding at the time, but now I understand why they reacted the way they were. Because at a moment they made one decision, they could have lost their job, their career, they could have lost everything they owned. Because if they worked for a white business and the word got out that you made any attempt at all to go against the system, when you went against the system, you were an outcast. You were subject for heavy retaliation. And so Reverend Anderson was the pastor of the church at that time. Very strong man, man had no fear. Man had no fear at all. A very bold man. So Lafayette went to him and he went to the deacon board. He asked the deacon board, was y'all allowed the first mass meeting? They said no, no way, no way, no way. And Reverend Anderson was very consistent. He told the deacon board, okay, I'll tell you what we do. If you ain't men enough to take a stand, we'll have mass meeting right on the lawn in front of the church. And I guarantee you it would happen. And the deacon board knew, they knew that what Reverend Anderson said, it was reality. It was going to take place. So they finally had their meeting and came back and told Reverend Anderson, okay, we will allow a mass meeting held at Tabernacle Baptist Church. And so during that time of June and midsummer, James Foreman, who was the chairman of the Student North Mountain Choir Committee, he came to Selma to address for the very first mass meeting were held at Tabernacle Baptist Church. And so from that point on, Shad Jim Clark, his posse, they came around the church with intimidation. Jim Clark was known as the villain. If there ever been a man that worked hard against the right to vote, he worked extremely hard. He was very intimidating, using force to intimidate. But even, and regardless, all his force was, the mass meeting went on as if he wasn't even there. Although he even came inside the church and looked around, he mounted his posse on the outside of the church. There was never a meeting held that his presence was not known. We call him the intimidator. But you cannot intimidate a rabbit already in the briar patch. So nobody was really intimidated. And what it did for the student, it really motivated us because we were in the basement of that church. All our activity went on in the basement of Tabernacle Baptist Church. There were a lot of training periods that went on all night at Tabernacle Baptist Church. Matter of fact, that class that lasted all night, that was paddles put on the floor in Tabernacle Baptist Church. Kids slept on the floor there. And so this was a vital training for the test that was allowed ahead for us. We really didn't know what we were in store for. We really had no idea what we were in store for. So as we continued to train Lafayette, we would come back to school here at R.B. Hudson High, and we would continue to recruit and recruit and recruit and recruit until we had a mass of students here at this school right here. And then we had the support of all our teachers here. They were here supporting us on all different levels. They were encouraging us to do all the right thing. So something that you knew would happen. In 1964, when the Civil Rights Act was passed by President Lyndon B. Johnson, oh my, that sent shockwaves throughout the community. And then as far as student was concerned, what we basically did, we were told, well, that thirsty boy downtown, we're giving all these privileges now. There are all the different restaurants in town, all the soda fountains, all our drugstores in the city. We see all these places that now we are not allowed to go. So we are being encouraged, let's test the water. And I want to let you know, testing the water was not a good tasting water, because there's a lot of roughing up took place. People do not realize what it transpired and what took place during that particular area. It did take place, and there were kids that were beat around and hit upside the head and had to get some stitches put in their head by the doctor at Hudson Hospital. But that did not deter. But what happened, something unique happened. Then Barnard Lafayette came and he said, well, let me share something with you now. Said, we need to focus on the right to vote. Let's turn all our attention away from doing sit-in demonstrations. Now we want to get involved with the right to vote. We want to teach you kids how to take ballots and fill them out and go out through all the community, that everybody you can see sit down and go in the home, and knock on doors, and just sit down and teach people how to fill out an application for the right to vote. Because the right to vote done it was very taskful. Oh, they put Afro-American people through a torturing chamber, the right to vote. So certain questions is how many jelly beans on a ball, and oh, I can count the number of jelly beans. I can do some number, count some in the number backwards. And they put all kind of stipulation on the opportunity right to vote, because that was part of the process to take away your liberty. And from that point on, so the march began to escalate. Then you left Brown Chapel, then you went to First Baptist, had mass meeting all over the city, and then all the kids we were all fired all up. Then we started leading marches and demonstrating for the right to vote, going to the courthouse, and at that time we had our parents and all family members going to the courthouse the right to vote. They were not allowed to vote because of Jim Clark, and his posse were there intimidating on every corner, pushing and shoving, putting billy clubs aside people. And there was one incident that my neighbor, Mrs. Annie Cooper, who lived to be 102 years old, passed away several months ago. She was one of the tireless ones. That particular day they went in line, she grabbed Jim Clark and downed him. Oh, that wasn't nonviolent. We look at that. She was not a part of the nonviolent part of her. So she was intimidated. So she took him down, and they beat her pretty bad. But she took the sheriff down. And so that didn't make things any better. He did not stop intimidating. People did not stop the right to vote. And they went on and on and on and on and on, unlimited the time. But as we look back, and then came the 12th grade, my 12th grade year, to graduate. The superintendent came over to the school here, in front of the doors over here, and he stood in front of the door. He told our principal that you could not stop these youth N-word, these kids from marching out to school over here. And we know that the principal did not say not one word, and somehow as kids, we didn't really understand. We thought the principal was being a coward, but the principal knew that there was very little he could say out of line, there was very little he could do. And so at times, we kind of got intimidated. And so after the principal said a word, the superintendent said, okay, if you can't stop them, I can stop them. The superintendent got right in front of the door, going to block the door, and being disciplined kids, we didn't say a word to the superintendent. We walked right around inside the superintendent, walked out these doors, and headed toward Brown Chapel Church to stage another demonstration. And so he came back a week later to the principal. He said to the principal, all of your seniors at R.B. Hudson High School, I've got a record that at least they have missed at least 6 days already. If they miss another day from this school involved in social change and more than demonstrating, they will not graduate, and I will see that they won't graduate. And when the principal and the teacher brought that news up, it sent shockwave. Whoa, this is all about it. Graduating is why we're over here. This is our goal. This is part of our plan. And so the teachers sit down and have a counseling session with us, and they said to us, I tell you what y'all can do. Remain at school now, and when the bell sounds for after school, then y'all go to Brown Chapel. We'll start staging our demonstrating after school. So from that point on, all our marches took place when school was closed here at R.B. Hudson High School. So as I stand today and do a look back, this is where the civil rights movement started. The foundation was laid right here by the students here at R.B. Hudson High School. This is just where it all got started. Over 3,000 students from this school went to jail to march for social changes, the right to vote, and our freedom. So they called us foot soldiers, but at that time, we were, I understand, foot soldiers, we were freedom fighters. Not really knowing all the do's and the don'ts about freedom, but we were willing to take high risk. And we want to let you understand, this marching was a very serious issue. Very, very serious. And we didn't realize the fact that you could have been very killed. But through it all, the process of what we've done, we were fortunate to graduate, and from this point on, we were able to continue marching going on. So we use this right here. And as we look back and really do a real analogy of it, this generation that left out of this school here, who laid the foundation, it was fun for the voter right bill. Because it didn't stop here. It went all the way to the Edmund Pettus Bridge. It led to Bloody Sunday. Some of our same student, 17 years old, was the fourth man in line on front on Bloody Sunday, was on line for the marching. And so out of all the three marching, all the way to Montgomery over there, student march, all the way to Montgomery, we went all the way to Montgomery. And from that August 6, 1965, when President Lyndon B. Johnson signed an order for the right to vote, we as a generation played a vital role in that task.